Earlier this year, I spent time with the Genesis GV80, and after I reviewed it, it was one of the best cars I have driven so far in 2025. 2025 though is almost over, and I am revisiting the incredible Genesis GV80. Or is it as incredible as I remember it was? Here I have this black Prestige edition, a new limited trim level, and does it wow me as much as it did earlier this year? Well, today we're going to find out. Also stay to the end. We're going to cross shop the Genesis GV80 and also reevaluate it on my spreadsheet against all the cars I've driven in 2025. Is it still one of the best luxury SUVs you can buy? Let's find out. This Prestige Black edition only comes with one engine, here on the GV80 that is, okay? We have the 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, 375 horsepower, 391 pound-feet of torque, made it exclusively to an 8-speed automatic. It is all-wheel drive standard, fuel economy, somewhere around 20 miles per gallon combined would be my guess, as you're gonna see. That's kind of what I've been seeing this week. Prestige Black editions, they are on the G80, the G90, the GV80, and the GV80 Coupe. Now, the G90 full flagship sedan, the GV80 Coupe, have a supercharger on top of this as a mild hybrid, and that has over 400 horsepower. The standard, non-black edition, but the standard GV80 can be had with a 4-cylinder turbo, and that has 300 horsepower. But the only powertrain here on this Prestige Black edition is this twin turbo V6 with 375 horsepower. Let's talk about the engine compartment. It looks really nice, really well, like everything's really tidy in here. You have this engine compartment covered to make the engine quieter. Beautiful sills to enclose it to make sure it's kind of weatherproof on the inside. We have these aluminum bars for handling to make the vehicle a little bit more rigid. You have struts on each side as well. Okay, and you look, easy access to the battery. Beautiful. Does it close like a luxury hood? Yes, it does. Now this black edition comes with two colors. The white color is actually a more expensive paint color, and then there's a glossy black. I really wish there was a matte black to come with this black package. It's kind of a missed opportunity, all right? But we have a blacked out Genesis logo. The grille is blacked out. All the trim pieces are kind of a glossy black. It looks incredible from the front. Of course, we have these updated headlights, which they improved a couple years ago on the refresh. We have the beautiful parallel lines, which also are turn indicators. Let me turn those on. Yeah, they look really, really good, really premium. And this thing looks like a poor man's Bentley. Yes, this one is priced at over $80,000, about $85K. And you can see the beautiful turn signals that are also into the front fender, which is amazing. Now, if we look at these 22-inch wheels here, 265 by 40 in the front, it's blacked out. The center cap's blacked out. You have caps over the lug nuts, which are black, and then you have a black brake caliper here. Really well done. Black roof rails, black daylight openings, glossy black trim pieces here at the bottom, white and black on this model. Door handles look really nice. Even the mirrors have a nice black trim here. On the back, yeah, you have your reverse lights down here. It's actually paint matched here at the bottom. I like that attention to detail, something you wouldn't see on the black model, of course, because this black piece here. We don't have exhaust tips. They got rid of that with the most recent refresh. I'm not a fan. I wish we had exhaust tips here. It's a twin turbo V6. I want it to look the part. It does have a dual exhaust tips, but they're totally hidden. The trim back here, the Genesis is blacked out, GV80 is blacked out. There's no indication of the twin turbo V6 on the back, nor any indication that it has all-wheel drive. To open up the hatch, there's a button here. Unfortunately, this is not tucked up underneath the rear spoiler to make it a more sleek-looking luxury vehicle. Genesis GV80 can have 3 seats in some configurations. I don't believe the black model can have that, for example. I can fold down the second row seats here. I also have this nice, wow, this is really nice. I didn't even notice this. The book cover for the owner's manual, the owner's handbook. Like, this is a really nice little organizer, I guess you could say. We also have a 12 volt, 180 watt. We have one light on each side, tons of cargo capacity. Good mat here, I should say. And do we have a spare tire? Yeah, you're gonna have a spare tire underneath here, underneath this piece, so that's great to see. And let's go ahead and shut this down, underfloor storage too, and let's get into that back seat. And this is something I didn't need to do. All right, the Bang & Olufsen speaker grills are blacked out, and it even has a Bang & Olufsen logo back here. So that's awesome that they have that attention to detail. All right, let's get into the back seat. We do have a blacked out Genesis like door sill here. You also have window shades in the back, which are automatic. You don't have to lift your hand, you just press this switch. Materials are fantastic, black stitching, black soft touch, black wood here, dark chrome door handle. Again, that nicely blacked out speaker grill here, and down here, except these are aluminum. I think this one down here is plastic, but most people aren't gonna notice. All right, so let's get into the back seat, which is a nice quilted pattern. Abe fits back here, no problem. The rear facing seat, for example. Oh, I didn't even notice this. Even down here, we have stitching, soft touch, and a dark chrome strip. Soft-ish back to the seats. They feel very premium, but they do get kind of dirty. And this is the only interior option here on this blacked out trim is this black interior, go figure. Even that little chrome piece continues from the door into this center area, this B-pillar area, which is surprising. Even the coat hanger is blacked out. I have vanity mirrors above me, which I don't remember seeing. It's been a while, so they're probably in the previous model that I was in. All right, we also have this panel roof, which that's a bit trippy. I don't even know where that shade goes. All right, well, and also the roof opens up, but the shade comes from both sides and disappears into this middle bar here where the vanity mirrors drop down. Bizarre. We even have that darkened chrome strip here on the above handle. I have heated outboard and ventilated seats. I have 150 watt AC power back here, as well as 2 USB-Cs, digital climate control, so it's tri-zone vents right here. You know, I don't have additional vents above or on the B pillar. I think the G90 had more vents to cool you down. All right, I can also adjust the seat forward and back from back here, which is pretty cool. And I can fold down the armrest, which fits. Like, my kids would never be able to pull that out because it's so tight. All right, and that's a good thing. When you're talking about luxury, you want everything to feel really snug and tight, because that is a signal of build quality and tight tolerances. On the inside here, felt lined, go figure. All right, I just got that dirty. The felt lined interior cargo space to the armrest, and even dark chrome surrounds here on the cup holders. Just the attention to detail here is just staggering. Let's get in the front seat. Does it continue there? Well, of course it will. I forgot to mention soft closing doors all the way around, of course. Let's focus on this gorgeous interior and how it's just so well done with the blacked out features. Okay, black dash, black stitching, that's par for course. But the wood that we saw on the back doors, of course, continues on the front doors with the blacked out speaker grills, the blacked out door trim, or show the chrome on the door trim. The wood here is just amazing. And I'm not a big fan of black interiors, but this one, I could be in here for the rest of my life. It's that good. It really is. It's that impressive. And some of the issues I had with the previous model that I was in earlier this year, where this material right here was kind of, it looked cheap to me, it looked plastic. No, not this. Like the wood here, and look at the soft opening. Like the wood looks amazing. Even the knobs, okay, my drive mode knob, the bright crystal and plastic for this one, because this one interacts with the screen. These knobs are like a silver or clear, which kind of look cheap on the more like the standard model. No, they're all blacked out here. Even this panel right here, which I do remember blinding me. This is a light color on the standard GV80, and that blinded me for sure. This blacked out looks awesome. Looks so good, and it's not gonna blind me. Blacked out Genesis logo, black on black steering wheel, black stitching, black chrome here, blacked out buttons, blacked out shifters. You know, the shifters, I had an issue with the last GV80 I was in. They feel cheap. They still feel cheap. I wish these felt nicer. Okay, but they look better than the last model I was in. All right, I even have nice cozy floor mats here. I wish they would have said like Prestige Black or something. Even the trim around the opening for the glove box, which has felt line by the way, but the trim is dark chrome too. The start button, dark chrome. Like, I'm sure there are details that I'm missing here that, oh, like maybe up top, like this is all darked out too, which you're not going to be able to see. It's not on camera, but my sunglasses holder, my map lights, that sort of thing. I also have a digital rear view mirror here. All right, it's just amazing. This is a really, really well done, well thought out vehicle from like to make it special. Most black editions, like especially Lexus, because I used to sell for Lexus, I'm very familiar with it, how they make their products. This blows away any modern Lexus interior. Well, besides the LC500, rest in peace, right? But like the wood, the attention to detail, the fit and finish, just bonkers. It's amazing. And you might be saying, Kirk, it's $85,000, and yeah, it's worth the $85,000. All right, let's start the vehicle up. Smooth V6, sounds good. Now there is an annoying start-stop feature in here. All right, and that button to disable it is over here by the drive mode button, which also acts as your terrain mode button, mud, sand, and snow. All right, but who's taking their GV80s off-road? All right, your drive modes are Eco, Comfort, Sport, and My mode. I'm typically in Comfort mode, but when I want to be a little bit more aggressive, Sport mode works just great. Now, what about the climate controls? No issues. Some people say, Kirk, you should be raising hell because it doesn't have physical buttons. I don't care, because I have a real rotary dial to adjust. The auto works great. I have dedicated buttons. I don't have to go through the menu. It's touch capacitive, but they don't go away. They're not hidden in a menu. I don't have to fumble through anything. It's all right here. I can just look, press, there's my ventilated seats. It's pretty easy, okay? Or if I'm too cold, turn up the heat. That's pretty easy. Too hot, I'm not taking my eyes off the road. All right, if I want it colder, all right, just turn the rotary dial here. It is great. Volume knob's right next to it, and they feel different, and they're different sizes, so you're not going to accidentally hit one or the other. You can feel them both at the same time, so you know the bottom one is climate control temperature, and the top one is volume knob. But I also have a scrolly wheel for volume, which is great. Hyundai and Genesis do that great. Volume knob here. This is a bit annoying. I'm getting used to it, okay? This little button here adjusts the right side of your screen and also the center part of your screen. All right, by the way, I'm getting 20 miles per gallon this week. If you swipe up and down, that controls your center screen. If you press the button, and then you can swipe more to customize this screen on the right-hand side. So it takes some getting used to. I'd much rather prefer something physical instead of touch capacitive, but it's not that bad, honestly. It's not that bad. Is it better than the Mercedes that have similar controls? I would say so, personally. But we're just going to leave it on the weather, I guess. Your cruise control, your lane keep assist, your pacing stuff is over here. And then I can also change the type of screens I have. Now, for the volume knob here, it's not sensitive enough. You really have to crank this little guy to get the volume to act like you want it to. You know, the software in here is pretty good. I don't have to fumble through it. It's easy to disable safety features that I don't want on. You also have ambient lighting in here, which I don't really care that much about. So let's go and start driving the GV80, as it is enjoyable to drive as it is to just sit in and relax. And by the way, I do have a massaging seat button here, which typically when I'm in a car, I press the massaging seat button in a menu, and like this happens in Hyundais. A sub-menu will come up to tell me what's going on with my massaging seat so I can customize it. I don't see that here. So I don't know if I'm just going blind. Maybe it's the seat mode and driver seat, smart support, motion ego. That's not the same. That's not the same as massaging seats. So I'm not quite sure why when I press the massaging seat button, it doesn't give me more information, but it is what it is. I think it's time to start driving the incredible GV80 Prestige Black. Immediately the steering is nice and firm. It feels good. Keep in mind this is a rear wheel drive bias SUV. So it's going to feel nice in the turns when you start powering out, okay? Oh yeah, and just that turbo, that torque is just fantastic here. Now let's talk about ride quality. Well, these 22s aren't doing it any favors, that's for sure. I do have adaptive dampers. I don't believe this has a air ride like the G90. I think the G90 has a air ride, for example, the sedan. This one, you know, you can make it softer, and I'm in comfort mode, so this is the softest mode, and then it stiffens up a little bit in sport mode, as well as the steering even further, which is great. The GV80 is crazy quiet. I mean, acoustic glass here, no surprise. It's really, really quiet. And it kind of always sounds the same regardless of what speed you're going. And I do have a heated steering wheel, and I'm trying to remember where that heated steering wheel button is. Heated steering wheel is right in the middle here. So it's just in an awkward spot, and it's sandwiched between like the air purifier, like essential oils thing. All right, so it is what it is. But I gotta get my drag meter out. Would you guys be interested in a 0 to 60 with this 375 horsepower twin turbo V6? I want to say somewhere around 6.5 seconds. Like, it's a big, heavy vehicle. But back to the heated seat, it also heats up my center armrest. I wish it heated up my door armrest, but yeah, that's not gonna happen. So, all right, let's put it into sport mode. Let's go ahead and turn off traction control. It's torque brake. Didn't launch that hard, to be honest. There's 60. Oh, it just feels good. It sounds good. 0 to 60 in 6.17. All right, I said what, 6.5 seconds? That was my estimate. Okay. I don't need this vehicle for speed. It just needs to feel right, and it feels right for a luxury vehicle. Okay, even sport mode, I put my foot down. It's not the fastest transmission. It's nowhere near as good as like an 8-speed ZF, and I wish this had an 8-speed ZF, but it's not as sporty as driving a BMW X5, for example, I would say. But what this does really well is blend old school luxury with like new gen tech. And it's just, this is the best interior probably of the year for me. All right, the Mazda CX-90 or CX-70 is a really nice interior. Maybe I'm gonna have to do an end of the year bet. What are the best interiors of 2025 in terms of usability? Usability in here is great, as well as overall like aesthetic. Like this nails both. It's really, really well done. All right, but I'll put traction control back on. We're gonna take this turn at speed because, well, why not? All right. Throw it in the turns. Yeah. Yep. And there's that power. Jeez Louise. Ah! Slow down. We're in the neighborhood. Yeah, it just feels very planted. It doesn't, like, this model does feel a little bit less, and I don't know if there's anything different here compared to the last Prestige model that I drove, but this model feels less leany and floaty. It feels more planted. It feels a little bit more solid, and maybe ride quality isn't quite as good as the last GV80 I drove in a different trim level, but this one it blends performance, comfort, and luxury really, really, really well. The brakes, no issues with the brakes. Like, honestly, perfect brake feel. They could always feel a little bit more performance focused, but I'm not trying to convince myself that I'm in a BMW or something. And I'm going to talk more about the brakes because the brakes have been fixed. And what do I mean by that? Well, a couple of years ago when the GV80 came out and the GV70 too, when you decelerated, the transmission would aggressively downshift and you would get strong engine braking. And the engine braking would disrupt your predictability of the brake stopping distance. All right, so you had to nanny the brake pedal because the transmission was fighting you when you were trying to brake predictably. That's all gone now. Yes, the transmission still downshifts while you're braking, but it doesn't disrupt your predictive braking distance. So I'm really, really happy here with the brake pedal and the brake feel and the brake predictability now on the Genesis products. The acceleration, the braking, the ride quality, the handling, the steering feel, it's all where I expect it to be. Okay, so there's no disappointment with this vehicle other than the auto engine off and on. And if you get the GV80 Coupe, which I haven't driven, but that's a mild hybrid, and that's really, the engine's designed there to turn on and off without much commotion. However, in this model, this Corolla's clueless. They're stopping everywhere. I'm gonna pass them. They don't know what they're doing, going around them. And there's a dotted line here. That's legal. He just stopped again and is pulling into a driveway. So anyways, people are clueless, as you guys know. Yeah, the only con that I can think of is this annoying start-stop that I have to disable this feature, or it's not even a feature. Is it really going to save me much gas? No, but it's going to save me from the frustrations of what makes this car so luxurious. It takes away when this twin turbo V6 fires on, all right, or turns off when you don't expect it to at a stoplight. It kills the experience, absolutely destroys it. So luckily that button is right here. I can defeat that start stop stupid feature. I don't know what to call it. It's an enjoyment sapping feature that I hope goes away in the future. Auto start stop, you know, with mild hybrids, they're kind of designed. With strong hybrids, it's totally designed where the engine turns on and off and it's very seamless and quiet, and the AC will still work properly. No, not here. Engine dies, your AC goes kaputs. Let's get around this Elantra. Can't believe this is related to an Elantra, all right, meaning that it's built in Korea. Outside of that, you know, this thing feels like $1 million. All right, so let's get back into the office. It's a GV80. Obviously, how I'm gloating about it, the GV80 is still amazing. Is it worth $85K? Well, let's find out. It's time to cross shop the GV80, but first let's look at GV80s in my area. All right. It's still probably incredible with the 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder. I have never driven one with the smaller engine, but I've driven the GV70 with the smaller engine, and I thought it was fantastic. All right. So if you want 85% of the same experience you have with the twin turbo V6 for a lot less money, about $60K, that's a good option. All right, but can I find the Prestige Blacks? There are 33. So there's also 107 Prestige models, which I love both of them. Prestige Black, a little bit of discounts going on, like $1,000 off of MSRP. Again, your options are limited. It's either white or black, and then the fully blacked out interior, which I absolutely adore, which I can't believe I'm saying that because I'm not a fan of black interiors, but they did it so freaking well. All right. So yeah, I mean, $85K, that's a lot of money. Is it worth it? Maybe. I think it's that good. So yeah, I do think it's, if it was $85K and it let me down, then I would say absolutely not. What about Lexus RX? Well, the only RX that can kind of compete in terms of performance is the RX 500H. As it does 0 to 60, maybe a little bit faster. The RX isn't quite as big of a vehicle either. But look at these are about $70K. I think the RX, the interior is nowhere as good as a GV80. It doesn't feel as premium. This is a 4-cylinder hybrid in it. It's just not anywhere in the same class, in my opinion, of luxury. It is fine for what it is. If I were to review this year, it'd probably be like A class or B class. All right. But again, we need to classify the GV80 here at the end on the spreadsheet. BMW. Now, I don't get to review BMWs, not because I'm like on a banned list. They're too far away from me. And the press fleet here in Florida, there's like nothing in it, if there's anything here anymore, which is unfortunate because BMW is a brand I would absolutely cherish and I'd love to have feature on the channel more, but it is what it is. The xDrive 40 has the inline 6, the B58 engine with the 375 horsepower minimum, mild hybrid. This is going to be a smoother engine. It's not going to sound as good as the V6, but it's going to perform
incredibly well compared to the V6 and the Genesis. The X5 doesn't look as good as the Genesis. I know the interior. I'm going to look at the interior. All right. I have not been in a new X5, so I need to look at what we have here. But I know this interior. Okay, the seats look similar. This looks cheap compared to the Genesis. This interior is trash compared to the Genesis. Look at all these glossy things, like no buttons or knobs. Trash. The steering wheel doesn't look good compared to the Genesis. I do have thigh extension here, which is a win. But yeah, the doors look pretty good. But the center console, the dash, it looks pretty bad. All right, the steering wheel does not look nice at all. And the screen technology is about the same. Actually, the Genesis has OLED, so the Genesis is better. This looks terrible. This glossy black here looks absolutely abysmal. Not 70K worth. So the BMW is going to beat it in performance, but the Genesis is better looking and has a better interior. What about the MDX Type S? Well, it's taken a step back in looks. It used to look better, but when they refreshed it, they made it look worse somehow, which is crazy to me. But this is more fun to drive than the Genesis, but it doesn't have as much power as the Genesis. It is faster than the Genesis by a hair. Like 0 to 60, I want to say is about 6 seconds. It handles a little bit better than the Genesis, but it's front wheel drive bias. And fuel economy is worse on this than it is on the Genesis, surprisingly, even though it's a smaller engine. But this is a good option, but I still think the Genesis is better. However, you can get these for $77K. The Genesis is $85K, but you can get that twin turbo V6 on the Genesis for less than $85K. You guys know that. Like if I want to look at the 3.5T, let's just take off the Prestige here. You can get them for $70K. All right. So yeah, keep that in mind. One of my favorite SUVs in the luxury segment is the QX80 body on frame. It's not a direct comparison, I know, but it's worth considering. If you're dropping 80 to 90K on an SUV, a luxury SUV, definitely look at this one too. Now, if we look at where I had the GV80 earlier this year, I like this actually more than the last GV80 I drove, and I can't believe that because it's already S tier. You can't really improve much once you're in S tier, but let's do pros and cons. Pros, blacked out, done right. Yes, the V6, the ride quality, it's not quite as smooth as, I'm not going to say smooth because it's not quite as cloudy as the last one, but sporty and luxurious. Cons, auto start stop. That's it. Like I got to get going, but yeah, that's it. So it's amazing. The GV80, I should probably we'll put black here. It's just incredible. Everyone should be considering buying one if you have $60,000 to $90,000 to buy a luxury SUV. Look at it. It's amazing. It's incredible. I think you guys would agree. Signing out. It's still one of the best vehicles I've driven in 2025, the Genesis GV80, and reviewing it a second time, it just reminds me of how great it is. But this one's even better because the interior attention to detail is just a home run. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one and stay tuned for more. Peace.